Hey everybody, it's Fight Club Hubs, and welcome to the first video of 2017. I got just a couple things I just want to talk about real quick. The first is that happy 2017. And last year ended off on a really good note in regards for my GVN stuff. We finished practically season 1 of GVN Live. I'm going to call them seasons. Because I will definitely have breaks every now and then. And season 1 of GameJam, which turned out really well. GameJam will be starting really soon this year. January 11th is when we're going to do our first show, and I got my buddy Lance returning to play a game of Damned with us, a hide-and-seek hunter-prey game, which is looked interesting. I just never got around to playing it with him in the past, and he just gifted it for me on the Steam sale, so that was really nice of him. Another thing is GVN Live will resume at the end of January. We were originally going to start a couple weeks after the new year, but you know, some stuff came up, and some people needed some extra time to themselves, and I figured, you know, a month after the new year is not really that bad for GVN Live. It'll give us time to reflect on 2016 as a whole in terms of gaming, and it was really good, surprisingly. And there were a lot of great games, and a lot of games that just completely caught me off guard that were really good. So hopefully 2017 will be almost just as good in terms of gaming as well. I mean, we got the Nintendo Switch coming out, and we got so many other great games coming out this year, like Neo, which is coming up in just a month. Just to name one off the top of my head, to be truthfully honest. In regards to 2016 in games, I guess I can do my top 10 real quick for this video. I might talk about it again in more detail in the first GVN Live of the year at the end of the month, which will be January 23rd. I forgot to mention that, actually, January 23rd. So, real quick, here we go. I'll just give a little bit of detail as to why I like this game. I'm not going to elaborate on the things that really won me over, but I'm just going to give brief mentions to each game because I don't want to make this video too long. So, starting off at number 10, I just want to say this is a game that came in at the last second of the year. That is Dragon Quest Builders. Dragon Quest Builders is a mashup of classic action RPG mechanics mixed with the building mechanics of Minecraft in a survival mode. And I don't know what it is. Minecraft, I got it. It's cool. It's alright. It just never won me over. And then there was a bunch of other games that have come out that have been just like that. There's Trove, which is an MMO version of that. But something about the Dragon Quest universe I love, and somehow it works perfectly with a building mechanic, creation mechanic, and it just flows nicely. It's really fun. It's really enjoyable, and I look forward to playing that a lot well into this year, as a matter of fact. Number 9 is Project DIVA X, which is the... You know what? I lost count. It's the 3rd U.S. release of the Project DIVA series, starring Hatsune Miku and her Vocaloid friends. It is a music rhythm game. The difference between this one and the past ones is this one has kind of like a quest mode narrative, and you got to go through that in order to unlock all the songs. You do that and you also build friendships and all that stuff, and that part was alright. I enjoyed it, but I really stuck around for the songs and just pushing buttons. It's really enjoyable. I like it. It's a new genre that I just got into. I mean, I love rhythm games in general, but this is a new type of rhythm game that I just, you know, got opened up to, and I really enjoyed a lot. And in fact, the first game of the year that just came out this year was Project DIVA Future Town, which I just got, and that is the arcade port, and I enjoy that a lot more. So I definitely think I'm a fan of the franchise, and Project DIVA X helps us signify that further. Number 8 is a game that I had absolutely no high hopes for whatsoever. A game that's been in development hell for about 10 years. Final Fantasy 15. dear God. I'm probably going to go into great lengths on about this game on GVN Live, but this game, I like it a lot. It has a lot of issues that keep it from being an insanely great game, like bad camera angles, lock-on mechanics sometimes are a problem, really repetitive dialogues, ho-hum like side quests, but I really love the combat of the game. Some people don't like it, but I like the story, and I really enjoy the open world and the graphics. It's just great overall. So this was a surprise for me in every aspect of the game. Now, moving on, number 7 is POKKEN Tournament. POKKEN Tournament is a Pokemon fighting game developed by Namco. I still don't know what to make of this game. Even almost a year after its release, it is really big in the FGC, surprisingly, that I've watched, and it's just a really fun game. It's just a shame that it's come out on the Nintendo Wii U practically during the death year of the system, as Nintendo unveiled the Switch and everything. So don't know if it's going to get a port to the Switch, although it would make sense considering it forces you to play on the Wii Pad sometimes for multiplayer, so that way it works out if another person has a Switch and you can just play. It's just really it's a really fun game. It's got 2 interesting dynamics in its combat system. It was really unique. It's probably the fighting game that really won me over the most because of how different it approached itself, as opposed to something like King of Fighters 14 or Guilty Gear Zerd Revelator. So now moving on to number 6, and this is the reason why I bought a PS3, Shadow of the Beast, a reboot of a classic Amiga game that I was a big fan of back in the late 80s, early 90s. It doesn't exactly hold true to what the original Shadow of the Beast was, because Shadow of the Beast was a very, very difficult game. I mean, yeah, you only do one of 2 things. You go left, you go right, and you punch stuff. But in this game, it's kind of like that, but the one thing I don't like is the forced combat where you're closed in by force fields and then you have to go back and forth and kill stuff. But what it makes up for is, in terms of the combat, is its depth, its combo system. It does have quite a lot of exploration. The graphics are surprisingly amazing for a game that's 2.5D. And the music is just great, and I also love all the extras. This is a game that's $20, and it's got enough content to make it practically a $40 game, in my opinion. It's a great game, and this is the one game that made me buy a PS3. Moving on to number 5 is the next reason why I bought a PS3, because it came out a couple months later. It's ATELIER SOHPIE. I don't think I've ever pronounced that right. I've been turned on to the ATELIER franchise since Maruru came out, when I reviewed it for Die Hard Game Fan about 4 years ago, I want to say. And SOHPIE is just a great game. The only difference between this one and the past one is it does not have the countdown mechanic, where the game ends after, let's say, 20 hours. And then you'd have to do a new game plus in order to continue to get a better ending and whatnot, because that's what all the past ATELIER games. Whereas this one, it actually is a 100% play at your own pace RPG. There is a point of no return, and there is a good and bad ending, but I don't think there's a new game plus, which is kind of a bummer, because there are certain items you have to create as an alchemist before you beat the game in order to determine if you get a good or bad ending. And for this game, it was kind of hard to tell when that point really was, but nonetheless, I really enjoyed it. I have to say, I really enjoyed the art direction. It was odd for once to play an ATELIER game and actually to not experience any slowdown for once, which is something that, oddly enough, happened on the PS3 with the past couple of iterations. I really enjoyed the fully 3D environments, as opposed to, let's say, ATELIER SOHPIE or ATELIER Etchy and Logi, where the environments were not 3D, but they were just like, stationary, and you can move up and down or whatever. Really an enjoyable game. Now, just moving on to number 4, it's Just Dance 2017. This is the 4th game in the series that I've bought. I started with 2 I started with Just Dance 2014, I guess. I don't remember. But I have 4 games in the series now, and each one is really enjoyable. I mean, I'm not exactly a fan of most of the songs, but the choreography is addicting. It's a lot of fun. The online portion is surprisingly still as solid as it was the past couple of years, where you just dance against a bunch of random people online, and then you watch all the videos afterwards of how goofy you are, as well as the people who have won. And it's kind of nice to see, you know, families dancing with their parents dancing with their kids and having a good time with these games. I have to say I'm not a big fan, although it's a good idea, I'm not a big fan of a monthly charge or tri-monthly charge for past content in the Just Dance franchise. Like, I don't really want to pay $15 a month for a game that I'm probably going to only pay or play a few times a month, just so I can play some of these older songs. I mean, I'll just go pop in another disc from an older game in order to play that. But overall, it's a great game. It's fun. A lot of the songs are really good. I'm really enjoying some of the retro songs that they bring up. I'm really enjoying some of the songs that they have from the current year, because I didn't think the current year had great music, and they managed to find some good ones. So, moving on to my top 3. The third game on my list is Final Fantasy Explorers. Yeah, Final Fantasy Explorers made my top 3. Granted, Monster Hunter Cross came out, or Monster Hunter Generations came out this year, and I just couldn't get into it. I have a hard time getting into the Monster Hunter games after 3 Ultimate, mainly because I don't like how slow-paced the beginning of the game is, and it really kills my enjoyment factor. Whereas Final Fantasy Explorers did have a little bit of slowdown, but mainly because it was new, it was refreshing, it was different. And yet familiar at the same time because of the universe. I was able to enjoy it a lot more than I did Generations, which are practically the same thing, but Final Fantasy Explorers is more of a friendly user, or a newbie friendly version of the monster hunting style of game. What I like about this is actually how unique the world is. The job class system is really fun, and it's interesting. There's also the ability to transform into, let's say, one of 11 different Final Fantasy heroes for extra damage and crazy attacks. The Eidolons are a lot of fun to hunt down and fight. They do give you a good challenge. They do force you to use your brain to outwit them. It's not just straight up hack and slash. The multiplayer feature was a lot of fun, if you can find people to play, and it's just really exciting. It was a great game. It stole many of my hours of the beginning of last year's when it came out, and it was a game that most people seem to have forgot, because, again, great year in gaming, and most people just tend to gravitate towards the big hits, but those usually started in the summer and onwards, and that's usually when you forget about the stuff that came out at the beginning of the year. Now, moving on to number 2 is another one of those summer games, Deus Ex Mankind Divided. This game is amazing in every sense of the word. I love this game mainly because it just continues off of Human Revolution. From the ending of Human Revolution. Granted, it made you feel like crap that the ending you picked wasn't wasn't the correct ending or whatever. But Human Revolution is great in the sense that it has a strong narrative. It's got a really amazing looking world. Granted, there's a lot less bronze and gold scattered throughout in the color scheme. But everything about the game is just amazing. I love the upgrade system. It's been worked on. The inventory system has definitely been worked on. The abilities are a lot of fun. Just the fact that I can play the game in my own pace is great as well. I love either doing the stealthy or just run and gun. I usually prefer the stealth element in that game, and it's always rewarding, and it pays off in that game, and I just love how satisfying it is. So, number 1, here's my favorite game of last year. Doom. Yeah, if you watched last year's GVN Live award show, yeah, this was my game of the year. Great game. I really don't have a whole lot more I can say about this other than the fact that I loved the adrenaline rush when you played this game, the fact that you felt like a badass every step of the way, that the campaign would throw everything at you, and you had it in you to literally, you had all the tools you needed in order to conquer every adversity that came your way. The multiplayer feature did falter a little bit, but they improved that throughout the year by adding patches and whatnot to it. But still, the thing about this game that really won me over was just how amazing the single-player campaign was, and I love it. And it makes me want to have more of these type of games to come back. We have too many of these tactical first-person shooters that come out, you know, Call of Duties and Battlefield and whatever. I mean, I'm tired of those games. Even Halo does that. But I want my arcade shooters back, and Doom is hopefully a sign that these may come back in the horizon, because I love the fact that I don't have to hide. I just want to run up and shoot something in the face. Is that so hard to ask? So anyway, 2016 again was a great year in gaming, and 2017 is looking to be just as good. So here's to 2017. Hope it turns out to be a lot better than last year, and have a happy new year, everybody. This is Hubs from GVN. Take care.